Hey there designers, Renee here with a tutorial for a cocktail menu. We use both Photoshop and Illustrator to bring this piece to life. We'll learn how to create a realistic neon effect and make a vintage style cocktail listing. Follow along by downloading the freebie pack at designcuts.com. We'll also be using a photo by Samuel Zeller available on Unsplash. Check out the written tutorial for the link. Open Illustrator and go to File New. In the New Document dialog box, enter a document name and a width of 8.5 inches and height of 11 inches. Under Advanced, select a color mode of RGB, then click OK to create the document. Select your Type tool. Click once on the artboard and type Aviators. Open your character palette and change the font to Cosmopolitan Script Medium at 105 point. Open the color palette and enter RGB values of 18, 188, 213. Then open your Swatches palette and click the new swatch icon at the bottom of the palette. Press OK to add the teal swatch to the Swatches palette. Select your Type tool again. Click on the artboard under Aviators and type Lounge. And then we'll change the font to Cosmopolitan Sans Bold at 60 point. Position so the top of the L in Lounge points between the A and I in Aviators. In the color palette, enter RGB values of 235, 50, 36. In the Swatches palette, click the new swatch icon, then click OK on the pop-up dialog box. Since we'll be creating a neon light effect, I'd like to make the lounge text a little bolder. Open the Stroke palette. Next to Weight, click the downward arrow on the right of the text field and select 0.75 points. Open the Swatches palette and click on the black stroke thumbnail behind the red fill thumbnail, then click the red color swatch. Before we move on to our next element, let's tighten up the area around the apostrophe on Aviators. Use your Type tool to select the R before the apostrophe, and in the Character palette, change the tracking, the space between letters, to -102. Then use the Type tool to select the apostrophe and change the tracking to -70. Now select your Rectangle tool. Click once on the artboard, and in the pop-up dialog box, enter a width of 3.75 inches and a height of 1.4 inches, then click OK. Position on the artboard so the bottom edge of the rectangle bisects Lounge and the left edge cuts through the middle of the loop on the capital A in Aviators. Open the Swatches palette. For the fill color, select None, and then click the stroke thumbnail and select the new red color. In the Strokes palette, increase the weight to 3 point, and next to Cap, choose the icon for Round Cap. Next, select the Ellipse tool. Click once on the artboard. In the pop-up box, enter a width and height of 1.5 inches, then click OK. Position the circle at the top right of the rectangle. Select the rectangle, and then switch to your pen tool. Click once on the rectangle just above the loop on the A in Aviator. Switch to the Direct Selection tool, and select the line segment between the point we've just added and the bottom left corner. Then press Delete. Select the rectangle and change back to the pen tool. Click on the line to the left of lounge and then to the right of lounge in equal distance on each side. Use the direct selection tool to select the line segment between the points and press delete. Switch to the main selection tool and click on the top right section of the rectangle to make it active. Go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. Change back to the Pen tool and click once on each of the two places where the circle intersects the rectangle. Select the direct selection arrow, click on the top right point on the rectangle, and press Delete. For the last step on the logo, we'll add a plane icon. Select the Type tool, click once on the artboard inside the circle, and type a lowercase c. In the character palette, change the font to Aviator Elements at 134 point. If you haven't purchased the font pack yet, all of the outline ornaments are available in the freebies pack. In the Swatches palette, select the teal swatch for the fill color. Now open Photoshop and go to File, New. In the New Document dialog box, enter a width of 8.75 inches and a height of 11.25 inches. This allows for a 1/8 inch bleed on each side of the menu. Enter a resolution of 300 ppi and use RGB color mode, then click OK to create the new document. Go to File, Place Linked, and navigate to the photo downloaded from Unsplash. Press Place. Hover over one of the corner handles until you see the double-sided rounded arrow, then hold Shift and rotate the image 90 degrees to the left. Continue to hold Shift, but this time use the corner handle to increase the size of the image until it fills the entire artboard. Then press Enter. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Create a New Layer icon. Double-click the name of the layer and rename it Black Fill. Press D to set your foreground color to black and background color to white, then press Option Backspace to fill the layer with the foreground color. We're going to copy sections of our logo into the Photoshop file separately so we can manipulate them individually. In Illustrator, hold Shift and use the Selection tool to select all of the red parts of the logo. Press Command-C to copy. Go back to Photoshop and press Command-V to paste. In the pop-up, select Smart Object and click OK. Then press Enter to complete the placement. Go back to Illustrator and select Aviators. Press Command-C to copy. In Photoshop, press Command-V to paste. Select Smart Object in the pop-up and click OK. Use the Move tool to position the word correctly inside the rectangle, then press Enter. Back in Illustrator, select a plane and press Command-C to copy. In Photoshop, press Command-V to paste, select Smart Object, and press OK. Position the plane inside the circle and press Enter. In the Layers palette, double-click on each layer name of the 3 vector Smart Objects and change the names to Logo Outline, Aviators, and Plane. Click once on the black fill layer to make it active. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Add Layer Mask icon. Switch to your Brush tool. At the top left of the artboard, click the brush thumbnail to open the brush preset picker and select Soft Round. To the right of the brush thumbnail, change the opacity to 15%. Then press the right bracket key several times to increase the size of the brush to about 2000 pixels. Brush over the logo area. As you brush, you'll start to see the background texture peek through. Only brush a few times and keep it pretty subtle. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Create a New Layer icon. Double-click the name of the layer and rename it Red Background. Drag this layer below the black fill layer. Click on the foreground color swatch at the bottom of the toolbar to bring up the color picker. Hover over the artboard to automatically activate the eyedropper and click on the red part of the logo to sample the color. Press Option Backspace to fill the red background layer with the foreground color. At the top of the Layers palette, change the blend mode to multiply and the opacity to 60%. Now select the logo outline layer, then hold Shift and select the plane layer. This will have all three of the vector layers selected. Press the Create a New Group icon at the bottom of the palette, double-click the name of the group and rename it Logo. Then click the Create a New Group icon again and name this new group Highlight. In the Logo group, hold Command and click once on the thumbnail image of the logo outline layer to create a selection around it. Go to Select, Modify, Contract. In the pop-up, enter 4 pixels and press OK. Click the foreground color swatch up at the bottom of the toolbar. In the Color Picker pop-up, enter RGB values of 237, 112, 28, then press OK. In the Layers palette, click once on the Highlights group, then press the Create a New Layer icon to create a new layer inside the group. Name this layer Logo Outline Highlight. With the new layer active, press Option Backspace to fill the selection with the orange foreground color. Then press Command D to deselect. Click the Create a New Layer icon. Name the new layer Aviator's Highlight. In the Logo group, hold Command and click once on the image thumbnail of the Aviators layer to create a selection. Go to Select, Modify, Contract. Keep a 4-pixel contraction and press OK. Click on the foreground color swatch at the bottom of the toolbar and enter RGB values of 70, 231, 255. Make sure you have the Aviator's highlight layer active in the Layers palette, then press Option Backspace. Press Command D to deselect. The plane will get a slightly different treatment to more accurately represent neon lighting. In the Logo group in the Layers palette, click on the plane logo to make it active. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Effects icon and choose Stroke. In the Layer Style pop-up, enter a size of 6 pixels and position of Inside. Click on the color thumbnail, then use the eyedropper to sample the bright teal foreground color, and press OK. In the Layers palette, select the black fill layer to make it active, then press the Create a New Layer icon. Name the new layer Teal Glow. At the bottom of the toolbar, click the foreground color swatch to bring up the color picker, then use the eyedropper to sample the original darker teal from the logo. In the Logo group, hold Command and click on the image thumbnail for the plane layer. Hold Shift, Command, and click on the image thumbnail for the Aviators layer. Go to Select, Modify, Expand. In the pop-up, enter 20 pixels and press OK. Next, go to Select, Modify, Feather. Enter a feather radius of 50 pixels and press OK. In the Layers palette, make sure the Teal Glow layer is active and press Option Backspace. Then press Command D to deselect. At the top of the Layers palette, change the opacity to 50%. Now click the Create a New Layer icon again. Name the new layer Red Glow. At the bottom of the toolbar, click the foreground color swatch to bring up the color picker, then use the eyedropper to sample the original darker red from the logo. In the Logo group, hold Command and click on the image thumbnail for the logo outline layer. Go to Select, Modify, Expand. In the pop-up, enter 20 pixels and press OK. Next, go to Select, Modify, Feather and enter a feather radius of 20 pixels and press OK. In the Layers palette, press Option Backspace, then press Command D to deselect. At the top of the Layers palette, change the opacity to 50%. Click on the black fill layer, then click the Create a New Layer icon. Name the new layer Extra Color. We'll use this layer to punch up the colored glow effect. Select the Brush tool. Press the left bracket key several times to reduce the brush size to 125 pixels. At the top of the artboard, change the opacity of the brush to 100%. Back at the top of the Layers palette, change the blend mode to multiply. Now manually brush along the red areas of the logo. There's no need to be exact here. Now change your foreground color to the original darker teal from the logo and manually brush along the teal areas of the logo. Our last touch will be to add some shadows between the neon and the glow it's creating. In the logo group, select the logo outline layer. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Effects icon and choose Drop Shadow. Keep the blend mode of Multiply and Color as black. For opacity, enter 60%, change the angle to 45 degrees. For distance, enter 6 pixels, a spread of 0%, and a size of 25 pixels, then press OK. Now we'll copy this effect to the aviators and plane layers. In the logo group in the Layers palette, hold Option and click on the Drop Shadow effect under the logo outlines, then drag up to the aviators layer. Repeat for the plane layer. Hold Option and click on Drop Shadow under Logo Outline Effects, then drag up to the plane layer. And that completes this side of the menu. Now we'll move on to the actual menu items for the content side. In the Layers palette, select the layer with the concrete texture image. Go to Layer, Duplicate Layer. In the pop-up dialog box under Destination Document, choose New and name the file, then press OK. At this point, as long as you've saved it, it's safe to close the other Photoshop file with the neon logo. In the new document, at the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Create a New Layer icon. Name the new layer Background and drag it below the concrete image. At the bottom of the toolbar, click the Foreground color swatch. In the Color Picker pop-up, enter RGB values of 157, 15, 0. Press Option Backspace to fill the background layer with the dark red color. Select the concrete image layer. At the top of the Layers palette, change the blend mode to Multiply and the opacity to 20%. Now select your Type tool. Click once on the artboard and type a lowercase d. In the Character palette, change the font to Aviator Elements at 400 point. Position in the bottom left corner of the artboard and at the top of the Layers palette, change the blend mode to Multiply and the opacity to 15%. Select your Type tool again. Click once on the artboard and type a lowercase e. In the Character palette, change the font to 800 point. Position in the top right corner of the artboard, and at the top of the Layers palette, change the blend mode to Multiply and the opacity to 15%. Now we'll move back into Illustrator to lay out the content section of the menu. Afterward, we'll bring it into Photoshop to lay it on top of our background. In the open file in Illustrator, press Command-A to select all, then drag the entire logo to the side off the artboard. Select the Rectangle tool. Click once on the artboard and enter a width of 8.75 and a height of 11.25. Then press OK. In the Color palette, enter RGB values of 157, 15, 0 for the fill color. Now open the Align palette. Under Align Objects, select the icons for Horizontal Align Center and Vertical Align Center. Open the Layers palette, double-click the layer name, and rename it Background. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Create New Layer icon. Rename this layer Content. Switch to your main selection tool. Click once on the plane icon from the logo, then hold Shift and click the red circle, or just drag across both. With both selected, press Command-C to copy. In the Layers palette, select the Content layer, then press Command-B to paste. Drag the copy to the top of the artboard about ½ an inch from the top. In the Layers palette next to the background layer, click the empty space between the eye icon and the layer thumbnail to lock the layer. Open your Align palette and under Align Objects, select the icon for Horizontal Align Center. Select the Type tool. Click once on the artboard to the right of the plane and type designcuts.com, then a line break and 877-555-1212. Switch to the Selection tool and in the Character palette, change the font to Hipton Sans at 10 point. In the Paragraph palette, choose Align Left. Change the fill color to white, and then position to the right of the plane, vertically centered. Now hold Shift plus Option, then click on the text we just created and drag it to the left to create a copy. Use the Type tool to select the text and replace it with Specialty Cocktails, line break, $12 each. In the Paragraph palette, select Align Right. Then position the text to the left of the plane, the same distance from it as the text on the right side. Now select the Line Segment tool. Click once on the artboard at the bottom of the circle, and in the dialog box enter a length of 8.5 inches and an angle of 270 degrees, then press OK. Select the eyedropper tool and sample the red circle. This will give us the correct color and stroke weight. In the Align palette, select Horizontal Align Center. Select the Line Segment tool again. Click once on the artboard and enter a length of 3 inches and an angle of 0, then press OK. Open the Transform palette. Enter an X value of 2.25 inches and a Y value of 4 inches. Go to Object Transform Move. In the dialog box, enter a horizontal position of 0 and a vertical position of 2.25 inches, then press Copy. Duplicate the last action by pressing Command-D. Use the Move tool to drag across the 3 short red lines on the left side of the artboard. With all 3 selected, go to Object Transform Move. Enter a horizontal position of 4 inches and a vertical position of 0, then press Copy. Select the Type tool, click once on the artboard in the top left corner, and type Blotto. In the Character palette, change the font to Ed's Market Main Script Regular at 50 point. And in the Swatches palette, change the fill color to white. In the paragraph palette, select Align Left. Select the Type tool, click once under Blotto, and type Gin plus vodka plus absinthe, a line break, then plus brandy plus blackberry liqueur. In the character palette, change the font to Hipton Sans Regular at 10 point and position below Blotto. Select the Type tool, click once to the left of Blotto and type an uppercase L. In the character palette, change the font to Cosmopolitan Extras Bold at 88 point. Go to Object, Transform, Rotate. In the pop-up, enter an angle of 22 degrees, then press OK. Select the Type tool again, click once on the artboard in the second square down on the left side, and type Fighting Line Break The Booms. Change the font to Aviator Regular at 38 point and set the leading, the space between lines, to 31 point. Place your cursor before the booms and press the spacebar twice to offset the second line a little bit. In the Swatches palette, change the fill color to white. Select the Type tool, click once on the artboard, and next to Fighting, type a lowercase d. In the character palette, change the font to Assemblage Ornaments at 160 point. With the Type tool, click on the artboard under the booms, and type in the ingredients for this drink. In the character palette, change the font to Hipton Sans Regular at 10 point. Select the Type tool, click on the artboard in the third square down on the left side, and type Glorious Jag. In the character palette, change the font to Gabriella Stencil Bold at 26 point. Use the Type tool to select just the word Jag and increase the font size of that to 34 point. Go to Object, Transform, Rotate, enter 9 degrees, then press OK. Click on the artboard below Jag and type a lowercase b. Change the font to Assemblage Ornaments at 33 point. Then go to Object, Transform, Rotate and enter -2 degrees and press OK. Position under Jag just to the left of the G. Now select the Line Segment tool. Click to the left of the ornament and drag out to the left to the beginning of the word glorious. In the swatches palette, add a stroke color of black. In the strokes palette under Profile, choose Width Profile 1. With the Selection tool, hold Option, then click and drag down on the ingredients under Fighting the Booms and position below Glorious Jag. Select the copied ingredients with the Text tool and replace the text with Bourbon plus Sweet Vermouth plus Bitters plus Cherry. Use the Type tool to click in the bottom left square and type, in all caps, Apple, a line break, all caps Jack, and then a capital G and lowercase AIT. In the character palette, change the font to Malva Regular at 27 point and set the leading to 27 point. Use the Type tool to select just the word Gate. Change the font to Ed's Market Regular at 34 point and set the baseline shift in the character palette to -2. Lastly, place the cursor in front of Jack and add 4 spaces to offset the second line. In the Swatches palette, change the fill color to white. Select your Type tool, click on the artboard to the left of Jack, and type a lowercase w. Change the font to Assemblage Dingbats at 33 point. With the Selection tool, hold Option, then click and drag down on the ingredients under Glorious Jag, and position them below Applejack Gate. Select the copied ingredients with the Text tool and replace the text with Apple Cider plus Bourbon plus Raw Honey plus Cinnamon. Now use your Type tool to click once on the top right of the artboard and type Rushing, a line break, 4 spaces, and then the word Growler. In the character palette, change the font to Assemblage Regular at 35 point. And set the leading to 30 point. In the Swatches palette, change the fill color to white. Click once on the artboard with the Type tool to the left of Growler and type a lowercase c. Change the font to Cosmopolitan Extra Bold at 100 point. Again, we'll hold Option to copy previous ingredients lists and then just replace them with the ingredients for this drink. Click in the second square on the right side and type Hooch in all caps. In the character palette, change the font to Ed's Market Regular Slant at 32 point. Then change the fill color to white. Select the main selection tool, hold Option, then click on the ingredients list under Fighting the Booms and drag to the right to make a copy under Hooch. Select the ingredients with the Type tool and replace with moonshine plus mint plus lime plus sugar plus club soda. Switch to the selection tool, then back to the Type tool and click to the left of Hooch. Type a lowercase g, then change the font to assemblage dingbats at 73 point. In the third square on the right side, type beam, a line break, and then end in title case. So capital B, capital E, and everything else lowercase. In the character palette, change the font to Congenial Regular at 50 point, set the leading to 44 point, and decrease the tracking, the space between letters, to -50. In the swatches palette, change the fill color to white. Drag a copy of ingredients over, then select it with the Type tool and change it out to gin plus dry vermouth plus orange juice plus triple sec. Use the Type tool to click to the right of beam and type a uppercase A. Change the font to Aviator Elements at 92 point. Then go to Object, Transform, Reflect. Select Vertical and press OK, and position at the end of beam. In the last square on the right, select your Type tool, click on the artboard and type Tipsy, then a line break, a few spaces, and doodle. You'll notice that I put in way too many spaces here. I go back and delete them later, so I think about 3 is what I ended up with. In the character palette, change the font to Spumante Regular at 40 point. Set the leading to 46 point and decrease the tracking to -25. In the swatches palette, change the fill color to white. Go to Effect, Warp Arc. Enter a horizontal bend of 20% and press OK. Now go to Object, Transform, Rotate. In the dialog box, enter a rotation of 8 degrees and press OK. Copy ingredients from Applejack Gate. Select them with the Type tool and replace with red wine plus soda plus brandy plus fresh fruits plus sugar. Switch to the Selection tool, then back to the Type tool and click to the right of Tipsy. Type an uppercase P. Change the font to Aviator Elements at 78 point. Select your Direct Selection tool and use it to select the plane icon, and in the swatches palette, change the fill color to white. Now we're on our last step. Press Command A to select all and press Command C to copy. Then go back into the red file we made earlier in Photoshop and press Command V to paste. Choose Smart Object and press OK, then press Enter to complete the placement. And we're done! We've created a fun specialty cocktail menu using a ton of interesting fonts and ornaments, plus a snazzy neon effect. Whether it's your outcome for this tutorial or something new, head over to our Facebook page and share it with us. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and give us a thumbs up if you liked the tutorial. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/designcuts to get more video tutorials and regular updates, or visit us at designcuts.com. Thanks for watching. Till next time.